Hello everyone, welcome to lecture 25 and today we are going to start D and F block elements. So separately we will discuss D block elements and then F block elements. So far as D block elements are concerned, elements in which the last electron enters in D subshell are known as D block elements. So their general electronic configuration will be n minus 1 d 1 to 10 and ns 0, 1 and 2. So far as palladium is concerned, there is no electron present in s orbital. So the general electronic configuration of D block element is n minus 1 d 1 to 10 ns 0, 1 or 2, where n, as you all know, represents principal quantum number. Now these elements, why they are called D block elements? Because the last electron enters in D subshell. Then they have partially filled D orbital either in their ground state or most stable oxidation state, right? So they have partially filled D orbital, not completely filled, not fully filled, either in their ground state or in their most common oxidation state. And now exception is zinc, cadmium and mercury. Okay, why they are exceptions? Zinc, as you all know, atomic number 30, argon 3d10, 4s2, cadmium atomic number 48 and it will be krypton 4d10, 5s2, and so far as mercury is concerned, atomic number 80, xenon 4f14, 5d10, 6s2. Now you look here that zinc, cadmium and mercury in their ground state, they have fully filled D orbitals. Now if we consider their oxidation state, stable or common oxidation state, now zinc is stable in +2 oxidation state, cadmium also in +2 oxidation state and mercury Hg also in +2 oxidation state. And in all the three cases, after losing these two electrons of their respective s orbital, once again they would remain as fully filled D orbital. That is why these three are exceptions who do not possess partially filled D orbital in their ground state or in their common oxidation state. Then these D block elements, they are known as transition elements. Okay, why they are called transition? Because they lie between S block and P block elements, so they are known as transition elements. And these transition elements, they comprise of group 3 to group 12. Okay, group 1 and 2 S block elements, 13 to 18 P block elements, and rest, that is group 3 to group 12, they are known as D block elements. Now these transition elements, they are classified into 4 transition series. Okay, the first transition series, it starts from scandium 21, after that titanium 22, vanadium 23, chromium 24, manganese 25, iron 26, cobalt 27, nickel 28, copper 29, and zinc 30. So all together there are 10 elements, and this series, this first transition series, it is known as 3D transition series. Why it is called 3D series? Because successively, progressively, one electron is being added to each step. So scandium is 3D1, titanium 3D2, vanadium 3D3, chromium because of Hund's rule half-field stability becomes 3D5 4s1, manganese 3D5 4s2, iron 3D6 4s2, 3D7 4s2, 3D8 4s2, copper 3D10 4s1, once again exception, stable, half-filled and fully filled concept, zinc 3D10 4s2. That is why since the electrons are added successively in 3D orbital, so this series is known as 3D transition series. Okay. Then comes second transition series. It starts from yttrium, Yttrium. That's the spelling of the element, and its symbol is Y, atomic number 39, and it ends with cadmium 48. So 39 to 48, here also how many elements? 10 elements, and this is known as 4D transition series. So like that only, here successively 4D orbital is filled, so they are called 4D transition series. Now the third one is third transition series, lanthanum 57, and you can see in periodic table there is a star mark on lanthanum because immediately after lanthanum, at the bottom of the periodic table, cerium to lutetium, that means lanthanoids, they are placed over there. So lanthanum 57 and then hafnium 72 to mercury 80. Okay. And this series is known as 5D transition series. Okay. And here 72 to 89 plus 1 lanthanum. So here also 10 elements. And finally, the fourth transition series, it starts from actinium and there is a double star on it because immediately after actinium, at the bottom of the periodic table, actinoids are situated. So actinoids and then elements with atomic number 104 onwards. Okay, so actually 104 to 112, and they have their IUPAC names apart from their American names, Rutherfordium, and it is also known as Anilquadium and so on. So here also altogether 10 elements, and this is known as 6D transition series. So now you can see that each series poses 10 elements, and why it is so? Because they are D block elements. D can accommodate maximum 10 electrons, so that is why each series contains 10 elements each. So, dear children, as I said, they have been classified into 4 transition series. This is very important, and you should remember that which element belongs to which series. Now let's start with their periodic and physical properties. First of all, I will start with their metallic character or metallic properties. So most of the transition elements, they have metallic properties. They are hard, they are malleable, they are ductile, they have high tensile strength, brittleness, tenacity, then they are good conductors of heat and electricity. Okay, so I repeat, they are hard, they have high density, high melting and boiling point, malleable, ductile, high tensile strength, tenacity, and so on. Next is atomic volume and density. Okay, Since these transition metals, they have low atomic volume, naturally the moment volume is less, the density becomes high. And you must have seen iron, cobalt, nickel, manganese, these transition metals, they are very hard, they have high density, and except scandium, titanium, only 2-3 metals are there. Except these metals, not less than 5 gram per centimeter cube density for every transition metals. Okay, they have low density, exceptions. So no transition metal is having density less than 5 gram per centimeter cube except scandium, titanium, and 1 or 2 more transition metals are there. Then highest density, okay, highest density, whenever superlative is there, that's very important for GK also. So when I say highest density means maximum, and this is for 2 metals, that is osmium and iridium, 22.59 and 22.61 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, just see the density. So whenever a question is asked, why transition metals, they have high density, why they have high melting and boiling point, why they have high enthalpy of atomization. So the answer for all these conceptual and reasoning questions is that since they possess greater number of unpaired electron, so they have strong metallic bonding. So when they have strong metallic bonding, the energy which is required to break these bonds naturally will be high, and that is why they have high enthalpy of atomization, high density, high melting and boiling point, and so on. So naturally their melting point and boiling point is also very high. Why it is high? As they contain greater number of unpaired electrons. Okay, in D and S, when you combine them, then the number of unpaired electrons become more, and that is why they have high melting and boiling point. So except here, the exceptions are like zinc, cadmium and mercury. Otherwise they all have very high melting and boiling point. And here also I would like to tell you the highest melting point is of tungsten. Symbol is W, coming from Latin wolfram, around 3763 Kelvin. Imagine such a high melting point lies with tungsten, that is W, and because of greater number of unpaired electron, they have high enthalpy of atomization. Okay, so the answer for these 3 reasoning questions, high enthalpy of atomization, high density, high melting and boiling point. So greater number of unpaired electrons, strong metallic bonding, energy required to break the bond will be high. So next property, atomic and ionic radii, very important periodic property. So we'll discuss for all the transition series. As I told you, they have been classified into 4 transition series. So first transition series, as you know, 3D transition series from scandium, and it ends with zinc. As we all know, across the period, atomic radii decreases. Why does it decrease? Because nuclear charge increases. So what happens? From scandium to chromium, up to here atomic size decreases, and from manganese till copper it becomes almost constant, and there is a slight increase in atomic radii for zinc. Okay, look at the change, look at the trend. It is not a regular decrease or increase. So why does it happen? Let's discuss. So from scandium to chromium, as per the rule, as per the decorum, as per the trend, decreases because nuclear charge goes on increasing. But why it becomes constant up to here? So since the electrons are successively added in d orbital, 3d1, 3d2, 3d3, but what happens manganese onwards, 3d5, 3d6, 3d7, so once the pairing of d orbital starts, then there is screening effect as well. So there is increase in nuclear charge as well as screening effect. So coming up to here, both these effects get counterbalanced. Both these effects get neutralized. So even if nuclear charge increases, but the screening effect neutralizes that effect, and that is why these elements, they have almost similar atomic radii. But once again, what happens to zinc? Why there is a slight increase in the atomic radii of zinc? Because zinc, 3d10 4s2. Okay, so it has fully filled, this is 3d10 and this is 4s2. So what happens in case of zinc? Not only zinc, in second transition series for cadmium, in third it is for mercury and so on. So it has fully filled orbital. So because of inter-electronic repulsion, there is a slight increase in the atomic radii of zinc. So my dear children, very important. It's not absolutely a regular change. So remember, till chromium radii decreases. After that, up to copper, it becomes almost constant. And for each series, for the last element, there is a slight increase in atomic radii. And this happens due to inter-electronic repulsion, which in turn is due to their fully filled orbitals. Similarly, second transition series for cadmium it is going to be. So on going down the group, what happens? Atomic radii increases. So second transition series, they would be bigger in size as compared to first transition series. So there is no exception, no violation, and it happens so. Accordingly, the elements of third transition series, they should also be bigger in size as compared to the second transition series, but it is not so. And actually, the elements of second and third transition series, they have almost similar atomic radii. Okay? Elements of second and third transition series, they have almost similar atomic radii. And why they have similar atomic radii? Because of lanthanoid contraction. Okay, very important, lanthanoid contraction. So in F block elements we are going to study about it, that after lanthanum what happens? Cerium to lutetium, 14 elements are there, and for 14 elements the total decrease is even less than 14, actually 11 picometer, and ionic radii decreases only 18 picometer. And such a steady and small decrease across the lanthanoid series is known as lanthanoid contraction. We are going to study in detail when we start F block elements. So what happens? These lanthanoid contraction affects or influences the elements of third transition series as well. So as a consequence of this, elements of second and third transition series, they have almost similar atomic radii. And the example is zirconium and hafnium, niobium and tantalum, molybdenum and tungsten. Okay, these three sets I have given you the example, very important. So when a question comes, explain why zirconium and hafnium, they have similar atomic radii. How come niobium and tantalum, although they are not of the same group and the period, but still they have same atomic radii? And similarly molybdenum and tungsten. So one is second transition series, the another one is third transition series. and still they have almost similar atomic radii. So the reason behind it is lanthanoid contraction. So you need to write this term very importantly. It is due to lanthanoid contraction. So the elements of first transition series, you have to learn it. Up to here decreases, constant, slight increase. Elements of second transition series are bigger than first. Then second and third, they have almost similar atomic radii, and the reason is lanthanoid contraction. And so far as ionic radii is concerned, for the same oxidation state, either you consider +2, +3, whatever, but for the same oxidation state, ionic radii follow the same pattern as that of atomic radii. That means across the period, ionic radii would also decrease, and on going down the group, ionic radii is going to increase. But remember, what you need to consider, their oxidation state should remain same. Okay, my dear students, so today only the introductory part, that how they have been classified into 4 transition series, what about their metallic character, volume, density, melting and boiling point, and main focus upon their atomic and ionic radii. In our next lecture, in our next video, we are going to continue with their oxidation states, color, electrode potential, their oxidizing and reducing behavior, ability to form alloys, and so on. Many other properties are inclusive over here. So let's wind up today. Up to here, you revise it, prepare it, and see the questions which are given in text as well as exercise based on these properties. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.